Hey, ladies and gentlemen, whenever we get a time to talk wrestling, I get very excited. But not only do we get to talk about wrestling, the wrestling is coming to Las Vegas as we kick off Memorial Day weekend. Not only AEW Double or Nothing, the fifth anniversary, but also AEW Collision, a weekend of AEW at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. You can go get your tickets at AEWTix.com. And joining us is a man who lives in the city who I should have had in studio, but don't worry, we'll make that happen here soon enough. Brian Cage is joining us. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing swell, doing swell. Not just a man, but a machine that lives in the city, the Sin City. I love it there, man. Yeah, we could have had this thing live and in person, but caught you sleeping, caught you sleeping.
No, I did. And also, just for everyone to know, too, tomorrow on AEW Dynamite, my guy right here, the Machine's taking on his former homie, the AEW Heavyweight World Champion, Swerve Strickland. Catch that on TBS tomorrow night for AEW Dynamite. And before we get into the wrestling, because it's your first time on the show, I need to get to know you as a person. And by doing that, I went through your Twitter, and you had a very interesting tweet that I could relate to. But you said that you're a window seat guy. Now, look, We're two big men for two different reasons. I got the belly, you got the muscles. Me, I like the aisle seat because once we're in the air, I can spread out at least one of the legs in the aisle until they come passing out snacks and stuff. What's up with you being on the window seat? What's the, tell me why you're going with that.
Because of the width of my shoulders, and I'm hanging out. Too, I also hate the armrests. I always put the armrests up because they just cut the circulation of my arms. But I know you're gonna get bumped. Like when I'm walking to the bathroom, even for the size that I am, I'm like Keanu Reeves. I'm matrixing that stuff, dodging everyone.
Everyone sideways the whole way.
Yeah, everyone just plows right through me, especially the stewardess, which I'm like, that's your job. They don't even pretend to try to move, and they don't apologize. And so it's just so annoying. And if I ever want to fall asleep, that's impossible. So the window, I'm like, you know what, whatever. I can usually hold it pretty good too. I just tuck away all my food in there. I just sit there and I'm like, I can chill. The only time I hate the window seat though is when you get the fake window seat where it's just a wall, because then I run the same problem. So instead of having that window shoulder room, it's like this. So you're like this the whole time against the window, and I hate that. But yeah.
You get that little bit of space. That's great to see. And look, we are different. My battle is up front, which luckily for my seat, I have that space. You have the shoulders. You can't really mess with that. And I am curious, because I was going to ask you too, when it comes to the gym, do you, but when it stays, this question can apply for the gym and the airplane. I'm curious with you, when people see you walk down the aisle, are they giving you the look please don't sit in my aisle seat? Please don't be in my row.
Sometimes. Usually I'm on the plane first, usually, so it doesn't happen as much. But yeah, for sure. Especially because sometimes you'll just get a flight last minute. So regardless of status or whatever, if the plane's sold out, it's sold out. So if the only seat's left is the middle seat, that's the only seat that's left. And so I'll come in and I'm like, I know they're dreading it just as much as I'm dreading it. I'm like, man, and that's why I even ask, yo, look, the unwritten rule, right, is supposed to be the middle guy gets the armrest. I don't want the armrest. Can we just lift those suckers up? Because then it gives you more space anyways. I'm if you're going to have them down, I'm just going to bleed over them anyhow, so you're not going to use them. So might as well just put the some bitches up.
Listen, I'm in total agreement. I also learned that the armrest that's in the aisle, that's the one closest I just learned that can go
button.
up.
Yeah, the snooker button. Yeah.
And I also learned what is it called? It's called upfront seating. So now instead of paying for two tickets, you can pay to only have two people in a row, aisle seat and window seat, so it keeps the middle one empty.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it could just make bigger planes, but hey, they'll charge us for whatever they can in that small ass space. The other thing I want to get to is on your Twitter again, you've really been hyping up, and rightfully so, because a lot of people have been talking about it. But the new X-Men series on Disney Plus, the X-Men 97.
97 every time.
So I'm 30 years old. I was born in 93. So the X-Men cartoons I watched, didn't fully understand. The movies, I went through puberty because of Halle Berry being Storm, but I didn't really get it. What is great about this show? Why do you love it so much?
Well, so I was, and even then, being 6, 7, 8, I thought those cartoons, for the vocabulary and stuff like that, and even the meaning with X-Men is a little advanced, but I just loved it. That's what really got me into Marvel and the trading cards and the comics. I liked it all, but the X-Men cartoon really is what got my whole love for everything in the superhero realm. I just thought it was the best. When Disney Plus came out, especially in the pandemic, the very first I didn't give a crap about any of the movies, anything. I watched the entire series of X-Men, and then I watched it again, and then I watched it again right before 97 came out. And I also watched all of Wolverine the X-Men, which I hadn't watched completely before either. But dude, the cartoon has just been not such a great continuance, but like it's not like super mature and adult oriented, but you can definitely tell it's made towards people my age because we were all the kids watching it back then, right?
Yeah.
It just it's I don't know, like without spoiling every episode and going into it, it's been so perfectly made, and not even just being favoritism because I'm a big fanboy of it. It's the best thing they've done since Infinity War and Endgame, hands down. I mean, Spider-Man's up with you, right? The last Spider-Man movie is amazing, but I mean, every live-action movie, TV show, everything we've done doesn't even compare. Doesn't hold a candle to X-Men '97. It's been fantastic.
And the reason I'm smiling too is because I know you have younger kids and I have a 5-year-old. And thanks to him, I learned about all like the animated Star Wars shows that I would never watch. Because growing up, I was a sports and wrestling kid. So I wasn't watching anime, Avatar, SpongeBob. It didn't matter. Like it was either sports or wrestling. But pandemic, needing to watch stuff. And I was like, yo, this Star Wars stuff's amazing. And not only is my son getting to watch it now, it's like, no. We're going to relive this when you're older so you can actually understand and not just feel like, yo, this is cool because the lightsabers are Wolverine and all that stuff. So that's really cool. And of course, I said it here at the beginning that you live in Vegas. And I'm assuming, like, when it comes to Future Stars of Wrestling, FSW, like, there's a lot of ties there, correct?
Oh yeah, I worked up on former world champion there. The biggest draw FSW's ever had. I think it's a me and Matt Hardy ladder match for the title.
Yo, that's incredible. And is that kind of where your relationship with LA Knight started in Vegas, or did it just you guys both ended up there?
Nope, it started in Mach 1 Wrestling back in 2010, right after I had gotten released from WWE. That's where we first teamed up, and we teamed up for several years.
No, that's freaking dope. And you shout out to them doing their things. They're incredible. And like you said, I know you still work with them now. But as far as living in Vegas, what's your favorite part about it?
Everything, especially coming from SoCal, which I'm not a big city guy. I hated living in LA. I hated it. And even though you could look at Vegas, a big city because it has everything, it's really just a town that's like has everything. It's like the traffic and the parking is a breeze compared to LA. I mean, it has every awesome gym on the planet, every awesome eatery on the planet, every single cool show. Everybody comes there, both family, friends, and entertainers. I mean, if you want to go do something or see something, just wait long enough. It's going to be in Vegas. We're about to have every single sports team there. I mean, even though I give two freaking rats ass about Formula One, hey, we got that there. Look, they had WrestleMania, Super Bowl, Double or Nothing, the Olympia. I mean, everything's there, man. I love it.
No, 100%. And also the most underrated food city in America.
I don't even know how it's underrated. I think it's absolutely the best because it has everything from the coolest mom and pop places to the 5-star buffets to the 5-star classy restaurants to the crazy
Chinatown,
the crazy ridiculous niche places that would never do well anywhere else. They're just over the top ridiculous food places, but they're super cool to go to or travel to. Like I have a list a mile long of places that I still haven't been after living there for several years, and it's just because I got to look like the Machine Brian Cage. Otherwise, I'd be no offense, but I'd be having your problem on the plane, not my problem. If I hit up every place I'd like to go to.
Yeah, that's amazing. And well, speaking of that and being the Machine, I asked you walking into a plane if like people give you stares when you walk into the gym. Depending on whatever gym, but like let's say for my Vegas folks that are listening and watching right now, like if you had to walk into an LVAC, do people leave and like kind of give you your space because they know you're about to go to work, or how does that work?
Sometimes, I mean, I actually find I went to LVAC yesterday, but I mainly go to Vegas. I mainly go to Dragon's Lair or Torture Gym, like the real man gym.
Yeah,
I mean, I have all the memberships. But sometimes, like, you know, they'll go up like, hey, how many sets you have left? And they'll look at me and go, oh, you can just have it. Like, I'm not trying to punk you for your machine, but I'm like, okay, cool. But not always. There's actually a lot of like, it's almost hard sometimes too to like superset or whatnot and like a more commercial gym because I feel like people don't like, how do I say it? Like understand like proper gym etiquette. And like, especially because a lot of people just like want to just go and just do a couple random machines for one set and they're in and out. And like, you know, so like it's hard for me to sit still in the gym just because I go in there and I go 100 miles an hour. So if I'm resting between a set, and let's say I'm like actually absolutely taxed, like I'm gonna do something else. So like some people like will go and try to unload. Like I'll just be on there and I'll go over and use this right next to it. And they'll start unloading my weight. Like, bro, I'm still on that. And they're like, oh, I thought you were done. I go, I mean, I could just sit there on my phone and sit on it and not do anything for 2 minutes and then go again, or I can do something productive and then come back to it. I mean, I have no problem sharing it. Go ahead. You want to use it? Go ahead. But don't like kick myself off. But nevertheless.
This is, I'm glad that I asked this question because these are the things that I'd never that would never cross my mind. And,
Sure.
obviously getting your body up to where it is now and where it's been, the word commitment has to be closely associated to that. What do you attribute that commitment to that and just everything, your journey in wrestling leading you to AEW and everything?
Everything's been just for passion and love of wrestling. When I graduated, I told the story 1,000 times. I was only 155 pounds. I'm out there like a little bit taller Darby Allin, and I was like, this ain't gonna cut the mustard. I want to be the part, look the part, act the part. And so I just started training, jogging to my high school during summer after I graduated. And my PE teacher I was a good friend with, who had summer school, would open up the weight room, and I would just start training. I just fell in love with that, and it's just a lifestyle now. But everything, I've been able to turn everything off as far as diet and workout and regimen, and I can be so disciplined and dedicated, and it's just all fueled by the passion I have to be successful as a wrestler. Because everyone's out there always saying how much they want it, how much they love it, how much this, how much that. But so many people, I mean, not throw shade, but their actions don't really support that. Whereas me, everything I literally do and say is for my passion to pursue, to go forward in every which way and every way. Like if you're not progressing in some way, shape, or form every year after year, then I feel like, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your time? And that's exactly what I try to do.
100%. A lot of people talk it, a lot of people want it, but to actually go out and do the things to get it is a whole different story. And I'm curious too, when it comes to your wrestling style, I guess we'll say, it's not your typical big man style. I'm wondering, like throughout your career, did you ever get any pushback on your style? Were they like, "Hey, take it easy," or "You don't have to do that"?
Tons, and like it's what's funny too is because obviously I was small. I didn't just start at this size, and I kept building up. It wasn't until I got bigger that I actually started doing flips and moonsaults and dives, and like I just looked like trying I could. And then I mean I could always wrestle better and move better because I just was a better athlete. I always just was a wrestler. I'm a professional wrestler that happens to bodybuild. I'm not a bodybuilder trying to be a professional wrestler. That's the big difference there between me and like a lot of the old school guys. So I could always move around. My timing, my footwork, and my just in-ring ability has always been there. And then I just started doing stuff every now and then, and it got a huge reaction. So I just do it more and more. And there's a few years in the indies where I was giving it away like candy. I mean, if you look at it now, I think I've done maybe 3 dives in the 4.5 years I've been in AEW, which is nothing. So I don't do it all the time now, but then it is funny how certain people complain about it, even though I feel like that's what separated me, got me more over when there wasn't any big guys. There's a lot of big guys that do it now and they're athletic. But yeah, I think it's funny when people will give me crap that I'm athletically gifted enough to do the things I can do while looking the way I look. But yet when somebody's tiny, picks up somebody, especially say, if, hey, that person's helping them do it, they think it's awesome. I'm like, hold on. And so somebody that's tiny tries to powerbomb this guy, that's cool. But the fact that I legitimately on my own front flip over the top rope and land on my feet, that sucks. I'm like, no, I think that should be amazing. What are you talking about?
Well, it's crazy because, like, I don't know, we can go back less than 10 years ago to think that, like, this is only possible in a video game. Or at least in my opinion, to see someone of your stature be able to do some of the things that you've done in the ring.
And that's what a lot of people say, that I'm a creative wrestler come to life, especially when I was first up and coming. Because that's what you always do. You'd make a super jacked, 1980s wrestling figure guy on your video game, and then you give him a 450 and all the cool moves and everything else because it was just completely make-believe, right? And but then I'm bringing it to life. So,
and look, before we close this out, we got a few more minutes. I've purposefully not asked you that many AEW questions because I know I'm speaking it into existence. We're gonna have you in the studio at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later, to really get into it. But the thing that I enjoy about Double or Nothing, obviously always being here in Vegas outside of the pandemic years, is to me, it's a celebration of the company. Of course, this is where it all started. And it's kind of a year in review to me. And throughout these years, I have to ask you, when it comes to AEW in your career, what's your most favorite moment that you've had in the company?
My most favorite moment in AEW. Oh man, that might be a tough one. I mean, obviously, my favorite matches probably still have to be Hangman Adam Page, which was at Double or Nothing. You know what? Let me just touch on that with Double or Nothing. That does bring a lot of history there with AEW being the big first event. And a lot of people don't know this too. And I don't want it'll be too long of a story, but I was actually supposed to debut at the first Double or Nothing while I was still with Impact as Impact World Champion. It was actually going to come down to me and Adam Page in the Battle Royal. And long story short, I got pulled off of the show an hour beforehand. Then I was
Contract stuff, I'm assuming, just between the companies, or
yeah, and and realistically, I should have been allowed to do it, but I mean,
we'll get into that later. We'll save it for later.
But we'll talk about later. But yeah, so then you fast forward, and then I get to debut the following year at Double or Nothing. I get to win the poker chip. Then I have the match with Hangman Page, which is probably my favorite match I've had in AEW. The year after that, I was not there, but then we returned back to Vegas. Right, so we're home again. It was last year. We're coming back again this year. Yeah, it's our big epicenter, and for it to be in Vegas, and now that I live in Vegas, it's so cool. And being so part of that very first Double or Nothing that weekend, that Starcast, and at the arena and so backstage, it was just such an awesome feeling, and you could feel the big boom, the big shift. So now that we're there at the end, Memorial Weekend once again back in Vegas at MGM Grand for Collision and Double or Nothing, which is going to be stacked, and hopefully there'll be something left for the other cage to continue on, and then I'll face the winner after that. But yeah, they're both going to be hot shows. I know the tickets are selling, especially for Double or Nothing, really, really hot. But AEW Tix.com, you can get the tickets for those shows. See me go out there on the spotlight, have the match of the night, get all of my shit in, and we can talk more about the previous Double or Nothings, I guess, once we get in the studio at some point in time.
Yeah, 100%. I guess we'll end it on this one real quick. Is there? I don't know if there's a father, son, cousin, brother dynamic between you and Christian. Yes or no? People want to know.
Sometimes just us cages got to stick together, so I'll leave it at that.
There it is. The man already let you know. AEW Tix Memorial Day weekend. It doesn't get any better than this. Las Vegas and AEW Collision and Double or Nothing. Brian Cage, we appreciate you for being on the show, and we'll get you in studio here soon.
All right, my man. Sounds good.